65 million people recently tuned in to watch Jake Paul fight Mike Tyson, and Jake Paul made $40 million. Mike Tyson made $20 million. So what can lawyers learn about growing their law firm and being more successful from Jake Paul? Well, there's actually a lot you can learn. And in this video, I'm going to share with you the lessons, the business lessons and the success lessons that you can learn from Jake Paul that you can apply for your law firm and use them to make more money, be more successful, get more clients, and ultimately live a better life. So let's go right into lesson number one. Lesson number one is consistency. Jake Paul has been creating content consistently for nearly 20 years, since 2006. Now is on a variety of platforms from YouTube to Vine, Disney Star at one point. But the thing is that since 2006, he has been creating tons and tons of content. Why is that important? Well, most people do like one thing or two things and then they quit. They don't have that consistency. They don't have that drive that continues them, that moves them down the path and makes it so that they're successful. If you continue and you stay consistent, then you will have so much greater chance of being successful, just because of the fact that most people won't stay consistent. There is a statistic about podcasts. I've talked about this a million times. 90% of people who say that they're gonna create podcasts or create videos or create blog posts or whatever it is that you're gonna create, 90% of them will never make it to the third version of the thing. And then of the ones that make it to the third version of the thing, 90% of those will never make it to the 21st version of the thing. So what does that tell you? That tells you that consistency is the most important thing. If you just stay consistent, you will be in the top 1%, and then you'll be in the top 1% of the 1%, and then you'll be in the top 1% of the top 1% of the top 1%. Nobody can touch you if you stay consistent. You don't have to be the smartest, you don't have to be the most talented, you just have to be the most consistent. And that's the first thing we have to learn from Jake Paul, is that this didn't happen overnight. It was consistency. It was consistently showing up and consistently doing the work. Now, the second thing that we can learn from Jake Paul is that he understands what he really sells. Now, he started as a YouTuber and then he got famous and then he became a boxer, but what's the real thing that he sells? The real thing that he sells is he sells attention. What do I mean by that? He has an audience. He has eyes on him all the time. Attention is the most important thing that he has. Now that he has the attention, all he has to do is plug products and services. Well, not necessarily services, but in your case, it would be services. But for him, it's products into the mix and they take off like a rocket. So for example, he has this huge audience of people that like boxing. So what does he do? He becomes an investor in a betting platform called Better. Why is that? Because he has an audience of people who like boxing are also into sports betting. So rather than going out and trying to have to find a new audience, he just looks at what is my audience already interested in, right? So think about this. When you have a client, what are the other things that people need that you could upsell them? And what are the parallel services that you could sell your clients in addition to your services? So think about what are the things that your clients also need that you might be able to sell them. So for example, if you're a personal injury attorney or a family law attorney, people also probably need an estate plan, right? It's easier to take the audience that you already have and take the clients that you already have and then sell them additional services rather than having a new product and then trying to go out and find a new audience for that, right? So what you should always be asking yourself is, who do I have the attention of right now? Who are my clients? And what are the other products and services that will benefit them that I can then sell to them? He also has a men's personal care company called W. Again, he's already got the audience. It's largely men that follow him. So he says, okay, what else can we sell them? Let's sell them things like body spray and stuff like that. And it's basically like deodorant, like personal care items. These are things that he can sell to his already existing audience. A great example of this is Grant Cardone. I went to a Grant Cardone event a couple years ago and I looked at the back of the room and there was all these booths set up. And I saw one was 10X Health and I saw another one was real estate investing and another one was Grant Cardone Sales University. And what I realized, at first I thought they were all different companies that basically paid to be there. But what I realized is that all these booths that were set up are all different businesses that Grant Cardone owns. And what he's doing is he has his audience in there. So he has a very specific demographic, a very specific type of audience. It's typically going to be, men ages 25 to probably early 50s. And he says, okay, this is who I have in the room. What else are they interested in? They're probably interested in learning how to sell. Okay, cool. So we'll sell them this. What else are they interested in? Okay, they're probably also interested in real estate investing. Okay, so we're going to create a real estate fund and we're going to get them into that. Okay, what else are they interested in? They're probably interested in their health. Okay, cool. We're going to create 10x Health and we're going to sell supplements and things like that. So what Grant Cardone is doing is he's collecting the audience, he's getting the audience in, he's getting his customers, and then he's selling them all the products that complement one another. And it's different things that the audience that he already has would be interested in buying. So this is a very, very important lesson. Look at your current clients and look at the audience that you have. Even if it's not a big audience, I'm saying audience, you don't have to have a big audience. It can be your client list. It can be anybody that needs your services, and ask yourself, what other services do they need? What other products do they need? What other services they need? It doesn't have to be legal services. It can be anything that they need. And then you can offer those products and services, and you can use that to build your business and grow your revenue. Now, the next thing that Jake Paul did is he found a finisher. Now, what does that mean? Well, every business needs two things, a starter and a finisher. So what does that mean, right? I'm a great starter. I'm great at coming up with ideas. I'm great at being a big thinker. I'm a terrible finisher. What that means is that I'm not good at executing. I'm not good at the logistics. I'm not good at the details. Jake Paul is the same way. Jake Paul is a great starter. He's great at having the big vision. He's great at being the promoter. But I would guarantee you that he is a terrible finisher. I guarantee you he's not good at the logistics. So he has a guy that he teamed up with named Nakisa Bidarian. And Nakisa Bidarian used to be an executive at UFC, and he's the one that helps orchestrate all these fights. He's the one that's basically the business guy behind the scenes that's handling all the logistics. So you need to ask yourself with your law firm, are you a starter, meaning are you the person with the big picture and the big ideas and the vision, or are you a finisher? Are you the type of person that's great with logistics and great with details and all that type of stuff? And whatever you are, you need to find your counterpart and have that counterpart help you run the business and help you grow the business, because every business needs a starter and every business needs a finisher. I'm a great starter, for example. I'm a terrible finisher. I'm terrible with logistics, all those types of things, right? It's very important to first understand yourself, understand who you are, understand what your strengths are, and then go out and find that counterpart that can help you where you are weakest. And this is one of the most important things that you can do. Now, the next lesson we can learn from Jake Paul and his massive success is volume. He creates content many, many times per day. Especially when he's promoting an event, he creates things over and over and over again. He doesn't do things just one time. So many times I talk to lawyers and they're like, yeah, I created one video and it didn't work. Or I created one tweet and it didn't work. Or I created one post and it didn't work. Or I did blah, blah, blah one time and it didn't work, or just a couple times. Yeah, most of the time it's not gonna work, right? You've got to do things over and over and over and over and over and over again. And you've got to make sure that along with consistency, that your volume is up. You can't just do things one or two times and expect that it's gonna work. If you look at our business, whenever we have an event coming up, we don't run just one ad, we run hundreds of ads. We don't do just, one post, one email. We do tons of emails. We email every single day, right? we make sure that we're doing a large volume, because most people are not going to see the thing that you're promoting. So what you need to do is you need to make sure that you are consistently creating content and you're doing it at a large scale with a lot of volume. And often what you're going to need is you're going to need somebody to help you out with this. So this would be like a social media person or marketing manager or something like that, somebody that can help you with volume. Now, the next lesson that we can learn from Jake Paul and his massive success and his $40 million payday is the concept of jumping out of the plane and building the parachute on the way down. Now, back in 2020, when he signed his first fighting contract, he will admit to you that he really didn't know how to box. So he signed the contract, and I saw this on the documentary they put out a few years ago on Netflix. He said he signed the contract, and then he said, all right, well, I guess it's time to learn how to fight, right? He learned how to do the thing by actually doing the thing. I call this jumping out of the plane and building the parachute on the way down. And this is the only way you can get good at something. The truth is that most people want to wait until they're ready to actually start attempting something. But the thing that people miss is that the way that you get good at something, the way that you good is by actually doing the thing. You're not going to learn how to ride a bike sitting in a conference. You're not going to learn how to swim by reading a book. The way that you do those things is by actually doing them and then sucking at them. And then here's the key, sucking long enough to actually get okay at it, and then get decent at it, and then actually get pretty good at it, right? That's the key here. And I do this all the time. I was terrible on video when I first started. If I would have waited until I got good on camera, I probably never would have gotten started, because I still don't even think I'm that great at being on camera. But one thing I am is I'm consistent, and I do it, and I've gotten better, and I've gotten better, and I've gotten better, and I've gotten better to the point where I'm good enough now, right? Because the truth is that it's very, very difficult to do something over and over and over again and get worse at it. In fact, you do something over and over and over again, you can't help but get better at it. So that's one big lesson that I've learned. And it's also something that we can see simply from, Jake Paul, the way he's done all this stuff. It's been through basically deciding he's going to do something and then signing up for it, literally signed a fighting contract, and then said, oh, well, I guess I better learn how to box. If you would just get in the habit of doing this and jumping out of the plane and building your parachute on the way down, you will be so much more successful because there's so much opportunity lost in just waiting for the time to be right. Because let's be honest, the time will never be right. You're never going to be perfect at it. You're never going to know exactly what you're doing. The only possible way for you to learn what it is that you're supposed to do is by actually doing the thing, right? Now, the final lesson that we can learn from Jake Paul is that he understands that there is no correlation with being good at your thing and getting paid for it, but there's a direct correlation with being good at marketing your thing and getting paid for it. So I want you to think about this. When you go to Google and you search personal injury attorney or criminal defense attorney or whatever type of attorney you are, does Google return a list of the best attorneys from best to worst in order? No, they don't, because Google has absolutely no idea who the best attorney is. What Google knows is who the best search engine optimization marketer is, right? Just like people in your market don't know who the best attorney is. What they do is they know who the best marketing attorney is. Now, Jake Paul understands that you've got to be an amazing marketer. And that's why 65 million people watch this fight on Netflix. Now, what's interesting is that Jake Paul is not the best boxer. In fact, boxing purists typically will look at Jake Paul and they get pretty pissed off because they're like, this guy sucks and he's a disgrace to the sport. Yet he's making $40 million and 65 million people are watching that. Why is that? Because he's great at marketing his thing. Now, he's also gotten pretty decent at boxing. He's actually beaten some pretty big names. So don't mistake this for saying that you can just be a great marketer and crappy at the thing that you do. So I'm not saying be a great marketer and that's an excuse to be a terrible lawyer. That's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is that being an amazing lawyer does not mean that you're going to get paid for being an amazing lawyer, because the better marketers are always going to beat you. So you need to be both a great lawyer and you also need to be great at marketing your legal services, right? Jake Paul understood that you have got to be a marketer. You've got to be able to get the word out there. And that's why he creates so much content. And that's why he does stuff so consistently and with so much volume. And what he does is he is very polarizing. He uses polarization as a way to market himself. And what that does is that you're going to have some people that are drawn to you and you're going to have some people that absolutely hate you. And the funny part is that the people that absolutely hate him are actually probably more likely to watch these fights because they want to see him get beat. So the people that love him want to watch it, and the people that hate him want to watch it because they want to see Mike Tyson or whoever he's fighting, beat the crap out of Jake Paul. But either way, whether you love him or you hate him, he's a great marketer and people watch his stuff. Now, when he becomes polarizing, he's creating a buzz. And what that does is that creates something called earned media. That means that people are actually talking about him and giving him free media. This is actually something that Donald Trump used in 2016 to win the White House. He, in fact, got $4.96 billion in earned media. And what that means is earned media is essentially the value of what you would have had to spend to get the amount of coverage that you got for free from people talking about you. And that's one of the ways that this fight got so big, is because of the fact that he's such a great marketer, that he was so consistent, he put out so much content, and he was polarizing. So some people loved him, some people hated him, but everybody talked about him. And when that happened, buzz started growing. And that's how this thing ended up getting 65 million viewers. So if you pay attention to these lessons, whether you like Jake Paul, whether you don't like Jake Paul, whether you like boxing, whether you don't like boxing, there are great lessons to be learned here. That if you're consistent, if you understand that you have an audience, and once you have that audience, the next question is, what else can I sell them? What other services can I provide to them? What other products can I provide to them that are going to both help them and also help me grow my business? Understand, are you a starter or are you a finisher? And then find that counterpart. Understand that volume is the key to this game. Understand that you have to jump out of the plane and build your parachute on the way down, because you'll never be ready. And then the final lesson is that there is no correlation with being good and getting paid for it, but there's a direct correlation with being good at marketing your thing and getting paid for it. If you learn from these lessons and apply them to your business, to your law firm will be significantly more successful. Talk to you soon.